Welcome to another episode of the Steal a Moment podcast with me, Michael LeBois. Today's guest is Paul from the band Glass Tides out of Australia. Paul and I talk about how the writing process went for their new EP, which comes out tomorrow right here. That is Escape. Check that one out. Definitely. All the singles are available right now. Wide Eyes probably being my favorite right at the moment. But we talk about the writing process, how they build and develop songs, as well as how Australia has been dealing with the pandemic, as they are now pretty much nothing changed for them where he is in Adelaide. And, essentially what he's looking forward to doing with Glass Tides in 2021 to 2022. If you guys are excited for this special Wednesday episode, we have a second episode coming on Friday as well. That will be with Thea of Thea the Band as they get set to release their new song on February 12th. Speaking of February 12th, Gunpowder Empire's new single, Evil Within, will be available everywhere. So go ahead and check that out, guys. It's going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you to all of our subscribers. We're now up to 55. Seems to be adding one a show, but I'd like to see that go up a little bit. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell anybody who's interested in an interview podcast to check it out. Go ahead and anytime you can, like, comment, and subscribe. That way you guys can continue to get more content. So if you could, just hit the subscription button right down here, as well as the bell for notifications of when episodes premiere, as well as comment on this. If you want to comment right now, Fox, in the comment section below, and that will let me know you guys at least made it this far. Keep an eye out for more stuff from Gunpowder Empire. We have some things coming up in hopefully in April and June that you guys will be excited to see. We got some covers coming up soon between Sean and I, and we really are excited at what's coming down the pike for you guys. Also, I'll be back behind the mic for the Afterburners baseball team, doing play-by-play every Sunday starting April 11th. That's men's league here in Denver. We got some studs on this team. Been talking to the guys quite a bit about what they're doing, and they're very, very excited for the future of this organization. And with that being said, Glass Tides and I would like to steal a moment. So welcome. Thanks for joining me, man. I appreciate it. Been a fan for the last couple of years. Found you guys on Dreambound, like I'm sure most people have. I came in with My Descend, which was a killer track, and then followed you guys through in between. And I'm really liking the art design of the new singles you guys are releasing with Escape coming up here on February 11th. Where did you guys come up with that art design for this new series of singles?
So pretty much since the start, actually, from our first EP, all the artwork's been through the same guy. His name's Intuitive Designs. That's the company he runs under. Absolute legend, best guy to work with. We'll come up with the concepts, usually to do with what we're writing the songs about, and then we'll kind of send him through everything that we want the EP to be about, and what it is about. And then he always just churns it out and spits back like these perfect images for us. And like 9 times out of 10, it's usually the first one he sends back. We're just like, sweet, that's awesome.
Nice. Yeah. And it's important too, because I feel like artwork, especially now, as bands are starting to release singles and kind of build up to an EP, I feel like artwork kind of draws the eye of somebody, especially in this digital media age right now. How are you seeing is that kind of playing into how you guys have sort of maybe found a new audience? Could you say some people have been like, oh, I saw your artwork and that's why I picked it up and the music rocks?
Yeah, well, I hope so. Every time we drop new artwork, we get like really good response from it. Everyone always really appreciates like the eye-catching images and stuff. And I got to assume that it helps when, you know, you're scrolling through playlists or whatever on Spotify, whatever you're on. Things like that pop out to you. I've always taken note to like, you know, notice really cool artwork, especially like colors that pop at you. So yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we kind of, I'm in a band called Gunpowder Empire, and we kind of take a minimalist approach to our art. But the last two singles we released, we went with a different guy, kind of an interesting, different flavor. And sometimes, you know, it changes the way the song is perceived. So I'm always interested to see what other artists think about the perception of artwork. And the other side of that too is your video designs are always really cool. Wide Eyes really caught my attention. There's some really interesting things about it. Was that just a fun video to shoot for you? It seems like you got to do all the fun stuff in that one.
Yeah, so funny stuff. So we've been doing obviously clips for a while, and as a musician, you'd know that it's pretty expensive forking out for film clips. So last year, I kind of took it on myself with everything going on. I was like, I'm going to try to learn the film side of stuff. So I kind of dove into that, and just a lot of effects, a lot of in the box stuff, and that kind of sparked the idea for that film clip, and especially like fitting with the song. So when I put it together, it was super fun. It took plenty of hours to get all those zoom effects through and like everything with no glitches and stuff like that. My computer like freaking out, but yeah, it was awesome. It was good fun and like huge learning experience doing it as well. So pretty thankful that we're able to do it ourselves as well.
That's another thing I've been talking to a lot of different bands about, keeping things in-house through this time frame. Not only for saving money purposes, but to continue producing music. Do you guys do all of the recording in-house as well?
Yeah, so I'm actually sitting in my little home studio at the moment, but everything from the start has been recorded like here through me. And then probably up until last year was when we flipped over trying to do film clips ourselves. We'll like source out for artwork as well, but now we're kind of in control of music by ourselves and film clips by ourselves, which is really cool. They're the two probably biggest budget blowers that come out at us. So
that's definitely true. I can speak from experience that videos and audio production are the two biggest hangups, I guess, too, financially speaking, because, you know, not all of us can be Avenged Sevenfold, and not all of us can be the Amity Affliction. We don't have that kind of money to just kind of be able to do it at any cost. So to save where you can and still produce really good product is vitally important.
Yeah. And even even like being, you know, if you're stuck at home now, you're kind of forced into that option of like, it's good now that you can outsource and get things mixed and things like that, but you kind of need to know the basics these days, getting your tracks down.
How are things in Adelaide right now for you guys in terms of COVID and situations with that? I've talked to another band from Brisbane, which is in, I believe, Victoria. And is that right?
Brisbane. So we're up in Queensland. They are.
Yeah, Queensland. Sorry. That's right. My bad. How are the things in South Australia and Adelaide for you guys right now? Are you able to play out? Are you able to get together? What's the situation like there?
Yeah, so gigs started late last year. They were starting to ease them back in, but it was kind of hit or miss. If you booked a gig, there's like the chance that it was going to get pulled as well. So coming into 2021, we've been having shows, but it's been you have to be seated, and obviously very limited on numbers as well. So there's actually a little festival we've got going on here that's running shows with like bigger bands. And they've it's a massive grass area, and they've cubed off sections. So you can buy like a cube, and that's basically you and your 4 friends stay in there, and they like bring drinks around and everything like that. So that's really cool that they've been able to do that now. But we've been pretty lucky here in the way of things are starting to move ahead now, and we can look at playing live again.
That is fantastic. I live in Denver, Colorado, USA. And we've started to have venues open up again, but it's like a 25-foot barrier. restrictions on how many people can be in the venue. Outdoor venues are doing limited capacity as well, but they're trying to figure out ways to potentially get shows back up and running, hopefully by the end of this month, start of next month, in almost every venue. Now that we have the vaccine and we have it seems like we're starting to get things under control here. We had a stretch where we were able to play shows middle to end of last year where we could have limited capacity seating, but it shut back down again in December because we had another spike. Because if you haven't noticed, America was a little bit in flux for a little while when it came to the coronavirus. But it's good to know that you guys are at least getting back out to playing again. How weird is it playing your style of music to a seated audience?
So we've kind of been on a bit of a break from shows. We haven't played since the start of last year. So it's been a year now since any shows for us. So we haven't done, we've kind of put it on pause. We've been like, we're not going to do the seated thing. We're going to wait. And we're aiming mid this year. We've kind of got plans to do Australian tour. So that was kind of our goal coming up there. And in the meantime, we're like, let's try to release as much music as we can and get on the digital side of things. So that was kind of our plan of attack with it all. So we've been on, no shows for over a year now.
Oh man. Yeah, we've played one, and it was an acoustic show. So it was just myself and my guitar player playing stripped down versions of some of our favorite songs and then some of our stuff that we released a while back. Speaking of which, you guys released a reimagined of Forever about a week ago, right?
Yeah, so it dropped 2 days ago now.
2 days ago. Oh man, I feel like that's awesome. What did that kind of? Oh, that was weird. My camera decided to autofocus there real quick. What was kind of the idea behind that? Forever is a great song. I went back and listened to your entire library over the last couple of days just to refresh myself and get back to not just the songs that I've been listening to regularly, but to kind of get a feel for the overall discography. What kind of led to the reimagining of Forever?
I've always wanted to do reimagined versions. I've known like bands like Emarosa and things back in the day. I remember they pulled out a couple EPs with reimagined versions, Issues as well. So I absolutely loved that style of stuff. And then that reimagined version we've been hanging on to for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years now, because after we dropped that first EP, the girl that's featured on it, Jess, who's a good friend of ours here in Adelaide, she just randomly sent through a voice memo of her playing piano and singing the song back to us. And we were like, this is sick. So we kind of teamed up and she came in and laid down the keys, and then we put down vocals on it and made the reimagined version. So we were sitting on that for a while and we're always kind of like, oh, are we going to release it? Are we not going to release it? Like, we didn't know. And then finally just got to the point where we're like, we've got it. Let's release it. Like, let's do it.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant.
Yeah.
See, and it's funny because talking to a couple other people who've kind of done reimagines of certain songs that they really like, they've held onto them for a while. They didn't release them right away. And it's been a thing. I know that, like you said, Emarosa, those records were fantastic. Those reimagined records were great. Another Australian band did it. Hands Like Houses did a few reimagined versions as well. If you haven't noticed, I'm a huge fan of Australian rock and metal. So it's kind of something that I like. When you said yes, I was like, awesome, this is great. And In Between was kind of an interesting record overall. The Past is Dead has come up like 5 or 6 times in the last few days on just random playlists for me. What was kind of the storyline behind that record, and how has it kind of helped you guys grow in your brand?
So from In Between, there was a lot of personal stuff in that one. I think I was coming out of so basically, back when the band formed, I was kind of writing songs that were, I guess, on the darker side of things, like more like grungy-ish, just because I had a lot of inner demons I'm literally fighting with myself. So my best way was to come in and write songs and put lyrics down, because I was just not good at talking to people about it. And that was kind of the theme running through, and even into in between. That was when it kind of got pretty crazy, I guess, in our lives. Like everyone was doing so much stuff, and I felt like pretty distant from like a lot of friends and things like that. A lot of relationship problems and stuff like that. So coming into that, a lot of that like leaked into the album, and it was a bit all over the place with genre wise as well, which we kind of do on a few of our like releases as well, just because it's kind of what we're vibing. Whatever we feel at the time is what we end up putting down. And we try, I know coming into the band, we're always like, let's not put too much pressure on it. If it sounds good, we're going to roll with it, kind of thing. And not second guess everything and then stumble and not do certain things. So that's always been our theme. And then, yeah, lyrically and emotionally, all of our, like, just a lot of my feelings just flowed into that. So, yeah.
As a lyricist myself, I can 1,000% relate to the personal nature of words and things like that. We just released a single, man, it's been over a month now, I think, maybe even longer than that. No, we released it in October and then released the video a little bit later. Time is such a weird construct right now in this day and age.
It feels like that. Hey, you're like, yeah, that dropped last week. No, wait, that was 2 months ago.
Yeah. It's called Through Bloodshot Eyes. And that's exactly the thing about it, was like an interpersonal battle that kind of needed to come out in some form or another. And that led to a song. And I think that's what's important about music, especially in, the feel of the music that we play and the style that comes out. It seems to fit the mold of wanting to get through those troubles and through those inner demons, if you will, and fight and find a way to continue fighting. And if it means that you have to write sort of a song that portrays a little bit of the more aggressive side of those feelings, sometimes you just need to release it that way.
Yeah, definitely. It's weird how you could, like, I don't know, with lyrics, it's such a release getting that song down and walking away and like actually feeling relief from like getting it down. Whereas I just don't seem to get that with anything else. So it's cool that we're able to have that release, I guess, and get it all out.
Exactly. And I think that's what's important too about music, is then people who listen to it can find that same meaning maybe, or that same release, who can't quite write them. They choose to listen to them and use that as an outlet. What is the theme of this current EP format? The figure with the sheet over them standing in the center with amazing color structures. But what is the theme of this current EP structure?
So the theme with it was kind of battling with past ghosts. So I feel like a lot of us are like we're all like well into our late 20s now, getting into everyone's working a lot, everyone's kind of moving past a lot of those problems you deal with like in your early 20s. And it was kind of just this is kind of our bridge to like getting away from like those past demons and past ghosts, hence like the cover like that. And a lot of what was the word I was looking for? Yeah, lost my thought there. But yeah, basically bridging the gap between like where we were and where we are now. And even with the White Eyes track was kind of it's still got that like dark what's the right word? A little bit like darker vibe, but the lyrics are actually happy in a way. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of the first time I'd ever even written lyrics that were happy. And I don't like writing like happy poppy songs, but I like giving that effect off through lyrics, but still having the darker kind of music. So I guess it was just a new page for us, like trying to bridge that gap.
Yeah, that's the funny thing, is like writing a song. Certain songs are written in a minor key, but they're happy songs. And it's always weird to have that darker vibe with a little bit more of a, I guess, content lyric base. Mm-hmm. Yeah, happy pop songs feel really weird. But that's kind of, what happens sometimes is like you find a lyrical content that fits the mold of what you're looking to do with it. And then you're like, well, I don't want this to be necessarily on a happy feeling, but these lyrics have a happier or more hopeful representation.
A positive. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And it's always interesting to kind of like listen to the lyrics and you're like, man, this is a dark song, but these lyrics kind of give me a different perspective. And I really enjoy those. Wide Eyes is a song that I listen to quite a bit. Actually, it's on a regular rotation in my on my playlists. So unfortunately, I don't use Spotify. I probably should start, because apparently that's the metric now. I'm an Apple Music user just because it's easier for me. And frankly, from reports, at least here in the US, they pay better than Spotify does.
Yeah, I believe they do. The quality of music coming out of like the actual quality versus Spotify quality is way better on Apple Music as well. So
yeah, and that's
so
true.
compressed on Spotify.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like someone brought that up when we released Through Bloodshot Eyes. They were like, yeah, it's weird. The sound quality sounds different. So that's good to know that we're not the only ones who are seeing that.
No, definitely not.
What brought on that Come and Go is a Juice WRLD cover, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. What brought that to light? Like who came to whom with that idea and was like, let's do this?
I reckon that was me and our guitarist Jack. We actually both listened to a fair bit of Juice WRLD. Like lyrically connects with it like a lot. Like he wrote on the darker side for sure. And yeah, so we just loved that song. And when it came out, we're like, yeah, we think we can do this cool. Like let's go a bit heavier with it and try like dabble our feet in that. So that's kind of how it popped up. And we try to after every release, like reach back for a cover it's helped us build like a bigger fan base. So we always like to do that and have a bit of fun with it. So yeah.
Nice. What are some of your music guilty pleasures? Like if people didn't know you personally, what would be something that they would be surprised that you listen to besides Juice WRLD?
Yeah. Big one is Taylor Swift. I'm an absolute sucker for some T-Swizz.
Okay.
Yeah. Growing up, a lot of Taylor Swift. A lot of, what's another one? Guilty. I have to have a little think. Taylor Swift's the biggest one that pops out for me. I listen to a little bit of everything, but I could easily smash through a few of her albums. Even Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. I don't know, very old stuff.
Nice.
But, yeah, they came out with a movie a while ago now, the Jersey Boys.
Mm-hmm.
And me and our drummer George went and saw it like I think 3 times in the movie. We were obsessed. We were like, this is the best thing ever. And then I know that he listens to it like even more than I do. He's like constantly smashes it. But yeah, that as well. I'll try to think. If any more pop back to me, I'll let you know.
Okay. Because like, I mean, I'm in a metal band. I'm a metal musician, rock musician. I've been a rock singer my whole life. But you give me some 90s R&B, some Boys to Men, some Usher, some Drew Hill. I'll get down with that. I'll mess with that. Taylor Swift has to be, I think, everybody's guilty pleasure. She's one of the ones that like I think everybody listens to her, but not everybody admits to it.
Yeah.
And
Usher's a good one as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Another one too. And this is more post like his younger years. I've really liked a lot of the recent and like fairly recent Justin Bieber.
Yeah, I knew exactly who you were going to say.
But yeah, because I mean, I feel like he's matured as an artist, so his methods have matured a little bit. He still has those corny songs that are like, still testing his teenage audience, but like I feel like he's kind of matured and has done some different things. So
yeah, big time. I definitely get around some Justin Bieber.
Who is a band that when we can tour again, you would want to tour with over any other band ever? Like the band, if they like called you tomorrow and said, we want you on your tour, you said yes, who would it be?
bit. If we were just going the biggest band, I'm probably gonna have to go with Bring Me the Horizon. Just with absolutely in love with those guys, their music. So
that newest record, the one they made, Posthuman, is a incredible record, absolutely incredible record, and completely done remotely. Like that's a proof that we can do this if we need to. Like we don't have to be in the same room to produce everything together, but like, man, some of those songs hit really hard. Do you have a favorite song from them?
I think Parasite Eve is probably one of the best songs I've heard in a probably, it was my favorite last year. Like I was like, this is unreal, next level.
Yeah. With the first time I heard it, I was like, they went and kind of combined what they did with the last two records and like put it together and made something even better, which is incredible.
My exact thoughts. Every time I hear one of their albums, like it was back when obviously Sempiternal, amazing. That's the Spirit. I was like in love with. I thrashed it so much, and I was like, they can never top this. And then, just the last album was unreal, very good.
Agreed. So, what do you do outside of music? What do you enjoy? What are your hobbies, if you will?
Honestly, music is my hobby. It's my main thing. Every time I get a second of anything, that's what I'm trying to do. But like as a job, I work as a personal trainer at an F45. You'd have F45 gyms over where you are, I'd assume.
I believe. Let me Google this really quick.
If you type in F45 training, you should pop up with some.
There's one about 3 minutes from me.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. All right.
So I'm a fitness instructor it's a group training thing like that. So we've got one over here. It's literally like same thing, 5 minutes around the corner from me. So that's my like bread and butter. And then I do a bit of videography stuff at weddings now. I've got a friend who she runs the whole show doing wedding videography, but when she needs a second camera guy, I'm able to jump out with her and do that. So just being creative, anything I can do, like get my hands on and get my brain thinking, that's like what I love to do in my spare time.
Oh man, that's fantastic. It's really funny because a lot of that's something that I've noticed as well, is a lot of musicians are into like health and then other forms of art, whether it be photography, film, creating visual art. The guy who does most of our graphic stuff for the earlier portions of our records is in a band called Everest. He's a guitarist for Everest, and he's like a graphic designer. He also does photography work and all that stuff. I mean, I have this podcast. I do everything for this. So I edit the video, edit the audio. I create all of our thumbnails. I'm learning how to use Photoshop and After Effects, and all that stuff is crazy fun and hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's always the littlest thing as well. You end up spending like 4 hours on. You're like, oh god damn it.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, this bottom third is not the right color combination. What color combination do I want? How do I map this so that the split from the frame crosses at just the right moment so that this cross dissolve doesn't look like I just stapled the video onto the end of it.
Yeah.
So, but I'm an avid video game player still at 34 years old. Shame on me, I know. And then I'm a huge sports fan. So I take some time away from playing music to watch hockey mainly. I'm a big, it's cold in Colorado all the time. So, so we have that here. And I mean, you know, my primary focus right now is this podcast and my band. So I totally understand. I work in traffic. I make commercials work for cable television in the US. So,
all right.
Yeah, so I work in a tech industry technically as well. So
Yeah.
it's definitely not as cool as working at a gym, which I wish I could go to more regularly. Still, I've gained the quarantine 20. So it has been one of those things. How has all of this kind of affected your mental health in a way? Like, I don't know how long you guys didn't really have a whole massive lockdowns, did you? For extended periods of time?
No. So we were real lucky in Adelaide. We didn't have any well, actually, when I was working, I was working a different job at the time, but the place I was working at, I was still able to work there when our lockdown was kind of happening. So I was still, going to work, coming home. The biggest thing was obviously gyms were closed. A lot of facilities and stuff like eating out and everything like that was closed. But as far as going out, I was still able to go to work, so I didn't feel it too bad. And my girlfriend as well, who is a police officer, she was obviously still going to work as well. So we still felt pretty in rhythm, like we were still okay. And then it was only for about maybe a month that it was kind of like that, and then things started opening up slowly as well. Like it's not too big over here in Adelaide, so we were definitely lucky in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I live in the most populous city in Colorado. The metro area alone has like the population of I don't really know a city comparison. Like, we have about 3 million people in our metro area here in the Denver metro area. So, but like, we've had waves, so it's just been kind of a struggle, and part of it was it wasn't handled very well. That's about as far as I'll go on that topic side of things. But I know that certain areas had it worse than others. I know Sydney was dealing with some issues for a while. There were talks of like maybe setting up pipelines between traveling to New Zealand and other states within Australia. Are you guys looking to hopefully be back in like full rotation where you'll be able to have full shows again sometime this year, you think?
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I think it's kind of leaning like getting more towards there, like every month it seems like. Another thing's been lifted. I think just the other week we had we had a rule where in clubs you weren't allowed to stand and drink. You had to be seated with your drinks. So the other week that got lifted, which was probably the one everyone was hanging out for the longest, because that's kind of like, puts everyone in seats at shows and at clubs and stuff. So I feel like every month we're getting like one step closer. So hopefully, by July, August, I'm hoping we can have a full show.
What is it like touring in Australia? Have you guys had a chance to actually like tour the country?
No, it's horrible. It's everything's so far away. So previously, all of us had been in different bands, and we'd toured Australia and basically broke the bank. Like, it was very expensive. Whether you fly or you decide, if you fly, it's super expensive. You're getting places quicker. If you drive, you're spending 8 to 10 hours a day at least driving, and sometimes not even getting, like, if you're going Melbourne to Sydney, you're driving like 16 hours. So you can't really back it up. Like, it's very draining, everything's so spaced out here, which is good and bad in the touring way. So we do trips to Melbourne frequently because we're 8 hours out. So we're happy to drive Melbourne and back. But to do the full like Australia, like Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth, it's we haven't done it yet, just because we know how expensive it is and how we want to make it worth our while when we do it.
I completely understand that, as somebody who has been fortunate enough to tour the United States. That's one of those things. It's like you have to be prepared. Granted, it's a little bit easier because some of our major cities are a lot closer to each other than others, so that makes a huge difference.
But still very draining though, either way,
Oh, Oh yeah, 100%. And where I live in Denver, there isn't like a really big major market within 8 to 10 hours of here.
Okay, right.
So it's like Salt Lake City is 8 hours away, but a city like Chicago is an 18-hour drive.
Yeah, okay.
Dallas is 14 hours. Like,
Wow.
we have major distances we'd have to travel to get where we're
Yeah.
going. And sometimes it feels like those situations don't necessarily, work out for us because it's not really an option when you're a mid-level band or a band that's in a position where like you can't exactly afford to go from, in your case, like from Adelaide to Perth to
Yeah.
Melbourne to Brisbane. So
Yeah.
I can understand that being a struggle in some cases. And plus the middle of your country is essentially wasteland or badlands, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
shit.
Empty. Nothing.
Okay, so now for the stupid American question. Are accents different in different states?
Slightly, but I don't think I can't pick it up. I have no idea. I know some people say, yeah, I can tell like they got a Melbourne accent or they've got a Sydney accent, but I can never tell. So I think we're the same.
Okay. Because like, the US, you have, if you're from the southeast part of the state, you're known as that southern accent.
Yeah.
I'm from the middle of the western part of the US, not the Midwest, but the middle of the West. And we don't technically have an accent. So we take everybody else's and make it weird. But yeah, I've always been curious. Actually toured with a band from Brisbane when I was touring. They came to the US and toured with us. They're called A Breach of Silence.
Okay.
They're more of a hardcore metal band. Actually, Blair Light, their bassist, was on the podcast a few months back as well.
Oh, cool.
So it's one of those things that and we also had a band from New Zealand on that tour called Like a Storm as well. And that was really funny listening to them kind of go at each other a little bit for a little while. And then everybody became friends.
Could you notice a difference like with the accents?
Oh yes, 100%.
Yeah, right.
Certain words came out differently, mainly because I feel like the New Zealand accent has elongated vowels and
Yeah.
they swallow certain letters.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, there is there definitely is a difference. New Zealand, I can tell. But I feel like America is much more drastic from like certain states, whereas Australia, it is harder to pick, I think.
Okay. All right. That's kind of what I figured, but I always like to check. Accents and dialects and linguistics are kind of my thing. I really enjoy them. Talking to people from different portions of England, theirs is drastically different depending on where you're from. If you're from the north, if you're from London, if you're from Wales, Scotland, the
Yeah.
UK is a hodgepodge of weird sounds.
Yeah.
Do you guys have plans of coming to the US at any point to maybe play some shows or try at least? I know that's an expensive jaunt as well, but
Yeah, it is. It's been our dream, like from the start. Basically, we always wanted to get over to US just because that's where we feel like our fans are. Like that's where everything is. So we definitely do. And towards the start of last year, just before everything like kicked off and shut down, we were planning to and thinking like, all right, like this is going to be like the time we'll start organizing, start thinking things, and then everything got shut down. So we're planning to this year, hopefully get around Australia at the very least. And then next year, I don't even know. I can't even say when I think things will, open back up again, but hopefully next year sometime. Our number one plan is to get over to the US and tour.
well, as soon as you guys get over here, I'll be there. If you guys come to Colorado, I'm definitely there. You have truth by all means.
Yes.
Who are some of the artists that have kind of inspired the sound that you guys have created? Like, where would you say your inspiration comes from?
Probably Bring Me the Horizon is a big one, but more so I pull a lot from actually more towards the start. I was pulling a lot from 30 Seconds to Mars, back a Beautiful Lie album, and This Is War album, both amazing. And Emarosa as well, and bands like Sayerson and The Used a lot as well, actually. Those kind of, I guess it was more early 2000s stuff, which we always get comments on how we sound like more in that 2000s era. So it shows with what we listen to and what we pull our inspiration from, for sure.
Now, the real question is, Johnny Craig Emarosa or Brendan Walden Emarosa?
I am a Brandon Walden Emarosa. You are as well?
Yes,
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I liked Johnny Craig for a long time.
Yeah.
But I always feel like his bands that he's part of are better when he leaves. And that's terrible to say, but I like Matt McAndrew with Slaves. I like Brendan Walden with Emarosa, and I love Tillian Pearson with Dance Gavin Dance. Yeah. So like that's just one of those things. Like, I don't know why the guy sets the table and then he leaves or gets kicked out, and then someone better comes in. But Brendan Walden, like, his voice tone fits really well with the melody of the guitars, and both like 131 and the self-titled record are both
unreal.
Exactly, and they're amazing.
I probably, if I could check my like play count on those, it would be astronomical. So I smashed those two.
Yeah, and it's just his voice quality, and like even in the reimagined versions, like he brings out a different feel.
Those reimagines are unreal. I would love to like dig a bit deeper and like, because I think he would have had a lot of drive in what they were doing in those reimagined versions. I don't know. It sounds like that could kind of be like his background, that style of music. So it's cool. Yeah.
I'll have to see if I can dig out a way to get in contact with him and have him as a guest, and then we'll share that one. So you have Escape coming out February 11th, right?
Yep.
And then are you planning on releasing the EP later in the year, or are you going to release another single? What's the plan? If you don't have to tell me, but I'm curious.
Yeah. Oh, no. I'm happy to chat. So Escape is going to be an EP. So it's a 6-track EP, Escape. Our plan was actually to drop an album, but just the way everything's moving forward with releasing singles, and not getting your benefit from albums at the moment, we decided to do more singles and then drop the EP. And then that's probably our plan. We've already got a few singles in the bank ready to go later this year, and just hopefully continue to write with that. It's kind of always, we just kind of wait and see what happens. We'll write songs, and if we're like, if we're on a roll and we end up getting more than what we thought, then we'll hopefully put together an album. But otherwise, we'll try to ride the single thing out and see how we go.
How much do you think that is the way music's kind of directing now? I feel like specifically to set the tempo for what we do now, I feel like rap and hip hop has kind of changed how music is consumed. A lot of artists, especially in our genres, tend to release singles now and EPs as opposed to full-length records. Do you think that that's maybe the marketing strategy right now for bands that is working the best?
Yeah, big time. I've done a fair bit of digging in this, like just listening to as many podcasts and kind of digging in YouTube and things like that. And I definitely think singles is the way to go, especially with how Spotify is working now. There's even a press release with the owner from Spotify being like, we want you to release more music. So that's kind of what they're pushing for. I think they've made that pretty clear with how you pitch your songs to their playlists and stuff, but it's only one at a time. So if you drop an album, you can only pitch one song off of that album to be pitched for a playlist. So if you're not releasing the singles prior, you're not really getting your full benefit in the digital world anyway. And I'm assuming not a lot of people are printing CDs anymore. So that's kind of your way to go. And I think they're pushing definitely more towards singles and consistent releases, but you don't want it to take away from your quality and your songs as well. So it's kind of finding that balance, you know?
Oh yeah, 100%. Because everybody knows that not every album is going to have 15 bangers on it. Like
That's it.
Yeah, you kind of have to write to what's going to be beneficial to you overall, and then hope that the 5 or 6 singles you do release are all strong enough to push. And that's the other thing, is the Spotify playlist mentality is really hard. Those curators are brutal. We've been submitting for months. I think we submitted to over 500 playlists and we got on 7 or 8.
Yeah, right.
Have you guys seen any issues with like getting on playlists and dealing with that? I'm sure. I mean, you guys have. I think I just saw on your Instagram, you had like 5.6 million streams compared to our 230. So it makes a little bit of a difference.
We well, I think we got we were from the start. So through Spotify, you can obviously pitch your songs to their editorial playlists, and basically being prepared, I've found, is the biggest key for us. I think because you can pitch your songs, but they always recommend 2 weeks out. We try to do it like 4 weeks out, so the songs are like up through the distributor, and then we can pitch them through there. And we always try to do that way ahead of the curve. And then we've just had really, really good success through Spotify from that. They've been I don't know if there's like one guy that keeps seeing our songs come through and he's like, yep, but that's how it feels, because they're really hooking us up. So
that's awesome. See, I can say that I wish that was the way that it was working for us, but it, in some cases for us, at least, it's been just trial and error. We're also not, we don't have the push yet. We're getting there. We're trying to build. We've only been a band in the current format for like 2 years. So it's one of those things, like we're just kind of a little late to the game. So we're trying to get into catching up now as part of it. And then on top of that, you guys also have a relationship with Dreambound, which is kind of, it seems like they have the foothold especially in that melodic and like emo genre. What has that experience been like, and how has that kind of helped drive you guys?
Yeah, that was that was actually probably the biggest turning point for us, because our first ever song we released, Forever, got released through Dreambound. So we couldn't have asked for a bigger leg up, basically. As soon as we released that first song, we had such a great response, and then that kind of drove over to streaming platforms like Apple Music and Spotify. So I think getting that rush in there to start with was super positive for us, and it obviously showed with how they reacted when we released more songs and things like that. So yeah, getting in with Dreambound, massive help. And we even I think we got knocked back from them a few times. We submitted a fair few songs that were obviously more on the pop punky side, which isn't their kind of game. And then we finally had that one, so they hit us back on Forever, and they're like, yeah, we want to release this, and then went from there.
Nice. And that's one of those things, like I don't think enough people take those chances. I'm not gonna lie, I wrote them an email about 5 minutes before you popped on to request to see what it would take to get on there, because as a fan of theirs, it's how I've discovered a lot of new music over the last 2, 3, 4 years. I found you guys, I found bands like Isotopes, Captives, Noya, who I had on the podcast a couple weeks ago. So it's one of those things, like it kind of helps spread that sound all over. And I think that's what's the most important part right now is, we have these tools, we have these methods, these ways of creating these networks. It's taking those chances, sort of a leap of faith, if you will.
Yeah, and definitely not not being discouraged if you don't hear a response or get knocked back, because like everyone does, basically. You got to keep sending it back, keep trying. And that's the good thing about releasing singles as well and having like, you know, a lot of singles is you can try it again and again. You can try all these new methods and try these new ways and see if it gets better. If you figure out, you know, one thing worked, one of the singles got on, and then just trying to, you know, keep upping yourself.
Definitely. Well, Paul, thank you so much. I'm going to wrap up here. This is the opportunity now where I give you the floor to promote whatever you have coming up, whatever you have coming along, and anything you want to promote, where to send people right now. Paul, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, so Glass Tides has a EP coming out on February 11th. It's going to be a 6-track. You'll be able to stream it on all major services, Apple Music and Spotify. We'll also have all of our videos up on YouTube. If you just search Glass Tides, you'll find us. And chuck us a follow on Instagram at Glass Tides AUS as well.
Perfect, man. Thank you so much. I vouch for you guys 100%. Follow these guys anywhere you can. Paul, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Check out Glass Tides everywhere. All the links will be in the description below. If you guys can, go follow Dreambound and subscribe to them, subscribe to me. Paul, thank you so much, man.
Perfect. Thank you so much, man.
Take care.
Yeah, you too.
It almost feels like someone else is living my life. 'Cause it almost